Merry Christmas from our family to yours. I wanted to take this Christmas Eve, and I know a lot of people are probably not going to Christmas Eve services. I know a lot of people are, but there's probably less people going this year than maybe the last couple decades. So I wanted to take this opportunity and just kind of throw out there not just the reason for the season, but a true understanding of what Christmas is. I want to start with a story of a friend of mine many years ago. It was around Christmas, and we were talking one evening, and he asked me a question. He said, why would people worship a God who pretty much got beat up and killed? What's so special about that guy? And I really, at that moment, realized that a lot of people, they know the story of Jesus, but they don't understand what it is that he actually did. So this all began at the very beginning of the world. When Adam and Eve first sinned, when sin entered the world, God had a plan. And that plan was to redeem mankind. And what I mean by redeem is he created us because he wanted us to be in his presence. He loves us and he wants to be around us. The problem is a holy God cannot be in the presence of a sinful person, because if I enter into heaven and I tell one little lie, well, now I have corrupted heaven, and now heaven has become corrupt like earth, and God can't allow that to happen. Darkness cannot exist in the light. Light shuts out all the darkness, and that would essentially vaporize us if we tried to enter into his holy presence. So he had a plan. And from that very first generation of Cain and Abel, one of Adam and Eve's sons offered up a sacrifice of fruits and vegetables, and the other one offered up a blood sacrifice, and God said, it is the blood sacrifice that he requires. And from then on, there was always a blood sacrifice, because that was how they would redeem themselves. And it's a peculiar way to redeem yourself, but from generation to generation to generation, this continued. And even through Exodus of the Jews and Moses, when they finally built a tabernacle and a temple, God required them to sacrifice an innocent lamb to be in his holy presence in the Holy of Holies. The high priest could not just walk into the Holy of Holies. If he walked in, he would vaporize. So he had to first sacrifice a lamb for himself, and then he can then enter in and offer a sacrifice for the people. And the reason for this, because there was going to be a day that ultimately that he would become human and he would become the sacrifice to wipe away every sin, because now if I accept that sacrifice, I'm free of my past, present, and future sins. So I can boldly enter into his holy presence free of that. You know, the Bible speaks of a judgment by fire, and what takes place in that fire is all my sinful things, they just burn up like sticks and stubble, but all my good works, they're refined like gold and silver. But that's still not enough. I have to be written in the book, Lamb's Book of Life. If I'm not written in that book, I cannot enter into his presence. It's not that he doesn't want me to, it's just physically impossible. So he came to earth as a man, and that alone is enough, in my opinion. Now, of course, I'm not wise like God, but being human guarantees suffering. And just doing that seems like enough, but it wasn't enough. He had to physically bleed out and lay down his life for you and for me. And once that was done, he uttered the words, "It is finished." And in the spiritual realm, what was taking place at that moment was the weapons of the enemy were just ripped out of their hands, and they had nothing else against us. There was literally, he had defeated the enemy in that moment, and all they have to hold against us is lies and trying to convince us to sin and trying to lead us into this sinful nature. But it is only the blood of the Lamb that can redeem us and allow us to enter into his holy presence. So truly, the only way for us to be in his holy presence was he had to become human, and he had to freely lay down his life. He didn't get captured and beaten up and killed. He came to be captured, beaten, and killed. It was his purpose. It was his mission for being here. And once it was done, that's all it took. It was enough to wipe away the sins of the entire culture of the world from the beginning to the very end. It's one of the most loving things a person can do, is to lay down their life for somebody. And he did it. And when he was hanging there on that cross bleeding, he thought of you specifically. He knew your name, and he thought of you specifically, and he thought of me as he died on that cross. So as we enter into this Christmas Eve, remember that it's so much more than him just coming and getting beaten up and killed. His mission was to come and get beaten and killed because he wanted you to be with him for eternity. So I hope this video helps. Merry Christmas to you and yours. I hope you have an awesome Christmas. Love to hear your thoughts on this. Put it in the comments below. If you like this video, click like and subscribe. If you feel called to support our channel through Patreon, that link is also below. But the most important part of this channel is we take prayer requests, so never hesitate to send that in. Thank you for watching this episode of God, Family, and Guns. And as always, love God, love your family, and love guns.